Welcome back to Kettlebells and Cocktails. I'm your host, John, with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I'm good. I'm exhausted, but I'm good.
Exhausted going into open week.
Yay.
Bad time to be exhausted.
It's a bad time to sleep train.
No doubt.
But here we are.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, this week's open workout and this podcast is brought to you by Tupood, which is very exciting because we love Tupood. Love them.
I know. I'm so stoked that they've come on as a sponsor. If you're listening to this, if you're a longtime listener, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, wait, haven't these guys been sponsored by Tupood forever? Because they're like always talking about their belts. And I like wear like a sparkly gold belt and sparkly black knee sleeves constantly. No, have never been sponsored until today. So that's how you know that we truly love working with people who, whose brands we believe in. So that is really cool that they're a sponsor. And if you are wondering who in the heck they are, they're an awesome accessory company that makes, to me, the best weightlifting belt in the game. And they have belts for everyone. They carry sizes from triple extra small to double extra large. If you're an athlete of any size, of any skill level, of any style preference, there's a belt for you. Yeah.
We should backdate the invoice to like the first episode we talked about them, which I think was like 2 years ago. Swear to
Isn't that how you like pointed me out at first? Weren't you like, oh, you're that girl with the gold belt?
Yeah, you were. This was it was at that the Winter Classic here in Cleveland, that competition, and that's where we met the first time. And they twisted your arm and made you come do a workout because they were down some people, I think. And you had that big gold sparkly belt and your big blingy knee sleeves and just out there throwing down with everybody else. It was great.
Just working out blingy. So if you want a sequin belt, this is the only place you can get one. Highly recommend you check them out. And they have over 45 different designs to choose from. So, I mean, if you're not picking a sequin belt, are you even lifting? That's my actual question. But either way, there are other designs and other styles that you can choose. So check them out. They are Tupood, the number 2, POOD.com.
There you go. All right. Well, you don't need lifting for today's workout, Nikki. I did it, and there's no belt required. But right. It's still hard. It's still hard. 22.1. It was released. Very exciting.
Yeah. First of all, look at you doing the workout the day it was released. That is
it was an accident. I swear to God, it was an accident. Here's what happened. So the workout gets released, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, that doesn't look so bad, and I had already planned to do it Sunday. So I've got big plans this weekend. Me and my baby girl are getting in the car tomorrow afternoon. We're driving to Pittsburgh and we're going to see John Mayer in concert. We're very excited.
Oh, you love John Mayer. This is a big deal for you.
Yeah. And I have floor seats. I have really good seats because cool. Here's the full story. So the first time I saw John Mayer live was before my daughter was born. That's how long I've followed this guy. And I haven't seen him since. And Megan fell in love with him, a couple of years ago and loves all his albums. And so when I found out he was coming, I signed up for his email alerts, and you get pre-release when you do that. And like, I literally set my phone, set an alert for waiting for these tickets to go on sale. And the second they went on sale, I went and bought the 2 closest seats I could. I didn't care what they cost. I'm like, we're getting on the floor. So we're right down front. It's great.
Cool.
But anyway, because I was doing that, I'm like, well, I can't do Friday Night Lights because that's when the concert is. And I don't want to do it on Saturday because I'm going to be exhausted from, spending the night up there and driving back. So I need to do it Sunday morning. So I'd already made plans to do it Sunday morning. Well, then they release it. And I'm like, all right, well, I need to work out today anyway. So I'll go in the basement and I'll do a run through at the Women's RX. And I'll do step ups instead of box jumps because I'm in my basement. And then I get down there and I'm like looking at the box, and I've literally never done this. Keep in mind, I've been in this house for 7 freaking years, Nikki. So I'm looking around. I'm like, I think I can do box jumps down here. So I get on top of the box and I stand all the way up, and I can't, like, the top of my head is touching the beams standing up.
Okay.
Fully standing. I'm like, well, I'll never be fully standing for this workout. Like, you're not going to stand up all the way up for 15 box jump step overs,
Right.
So then I'm like, all right, well, I'll just try one. What's the worst that could happen? And I had plenty of clearance. I'm like, all right, well, I can do box jumps. And they felt really good because I'm lighter, I've lost some weight, and I did a few wall walks. Those felt pretty good. So then I went over and got my dumbbell, and I'm warming up with the lighter dumbbell. And then I went and grabbed the 50s, so it felt like, and then that felt good. I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to do it. And so I measure everything
You
out
RX this workout.
and
Look
just
at
went, I know, and
you.
just went for it. Just, like I knew I'm still doing it Sunday. I didn't have a judge here and I wasn't going to film it because no one needs to see that. And so, yeah, so I'm like, all right, I'll just do it and see how it feels. And so now I know how it feels. And here's a spoiler. It's not so bad. I didn't think so anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. That's what I like to hear.
The standard's a little tough. So the first thing I would say to most people that are going to do this, like I was laughing to myself when they release the equipment list. All the short people are like, yay, no wall balls, no rowing. And then they saw the standard for wall walks. They're like, damn it, this is going to be tough because
Can you explain it?
yeah. So you have 10 inches off the wall where your hands have to get when you're fully inverted, which isn't so bad. That's not the bad part. What's going to be tough for people is your hands have to start, if you're a female, at 55 inches and if you're a male at 60 inches. So that's 5 feet for men, right? And so you're not getting a huge discount if you're a female, which I thought was a little weird, but I wasn't doing the women's wall walks. So if you're tall, like, or tallish, like I'm 6 feet tall and I have pretty long arms. So getting my hands to 5 feet isn't that big a deal. Now, first of all, it doesn't seem like it'd be that big a deal to start with. You keep your hands at that marker until both feet are on the wall, and then you can move your hands. Here's the hard part that will be hard for a lot of people. You can't take your feet off the wall coming back down until your hands touch that line again.
Ooh, okay.
So, so if you're, think about it, if you're 5'6" and your hands have to, or, 5'8" and your hands have to be at the 5 foot line before you can come off the wall, it's going to slow down that controlled movement coming down. So it'd be a little harder for some people, but I would argue too, if you're also a little shorter, once you get inverted, you should be moving a little faster. You've got a shorter distance to get there, but, I think the wall walks are the least of the problem in this workout anyway, for whatever that's worth.
Is the box jumps because they gas you?
Actually, no. So here's what I tried a couple of different things in the middle of the workout, and this is the advantage to being able to do it at home with no one watching and not really stressed about the reps, but still working hard. Is I wanted to see what would happen if I tried a couple of different things. So the hard part was the dumbbell snatches, trying to find a good pace that wouldn't blow up your heart rate. Right. So when you cycle them, particularly at what I think is a pretty heavy weight, like 50 pounds is not insignificant. When you're cycling them quick, my heart rate tends to spike. And so then the box jumps do become much harder. So like the first round, I went out a little bit too fast and I felt my heart rate higher than it needed to be. And the box jumps felt a little harder than I thought they should. So in rounds 2 and 3, I went to singles. Just fast singles. So I didn't really let go of the dumbbell. I would just take it all the way to the floor, change hands, come back up, all the way to the floor, change hands, come up, and just kind of keep a steady pace. So my heart rate never spiked. And then when I got to the box jumps, I could move as fast as I wanted to. And that seemed to be a really good strategy for me to keep my heart rate down. And then when I do it over, my strategy from this point will be to do that through 3 rounds, because I cycled the first round and I think that hurt me a little bit because rounds 2 and 3 were slower than they should have been. What I would do in the future is I will probably do those fast singles in round 1, 2, and 3, and then put the hammer down from then on out. Like, because you only have so much time. Like it's only 15 minutes. It's not like it's a really long workout. And each round, like the first round took me about 2 minutes. And then the subsequent rounds took me 30 to 45 seconds longer than that. So I think I need to slow down that first round a little bit and stay more consistent. And I should be able to get close. I got 5 rounds plus 6 reps. So I should be able to get closer to 6 rounds, I think. But
now, I thought you were a one and done guy.
Well, I wasn't planning to do it. I am a one and done guy, but I didn't have a judge here and I can't count the score.
Got it. Okay.
I mean,
so that was a good practice run then.
Yeah. I felt like I kept myself to the standards. The kind of the key standards on this is your hands have to be on the lines. And so that's important. And I know I did that. And you can't your free hand on the dumbbell snatches can't be touching yourself in any way, as dirty as that sounds. You can't touch your leg.
A
Like you can't, like a lot of people like to prop off on their leg, give themselves extra leverage. You can't do that at all.
right, of
So
course,
I
of
was really
course.
careful to do that. And then, box jumps are box jumps. You just jump up and step down. And, really the only tip, I don't know why anyone would need the tip, but just stay close to the box and don't stop. Like, and if you do have to
Yeah.
take a break at the top of the box. That would be
Yeah, that's what I do
tips.
too. Yeah. The no rebounding standard is interesting to me. It's obviously in there to protect the athletes and their
Yep.
precious Achilles. Um, but it's interesting to me because there's only a few types of athletes that's really going to impact. I would say the vast majority of us spend most of our time jumping up and stepping down,
Right.
right? Like that's just a good rhythm that we've all gotten used to over the years. But there are very specific athletes that like pull way ahead
Right.
on box jumps and box jump overs because they rebound, and Matt is one of them. So
Uh-huh.
I am so excited to see what happens when he's forced to figure out how to kind of like box jump like the rest of us mere mortals, because he's definitely like a superhuman box jumper.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if anyone complains about that. Like I saw our buddy Sean Sweeney, CrossFit Cowboy,
Mm-hmm.
had something in his story, and it didn't seem like a complaint, but he made a good point. He said, that they're doing this, I think he had it even in quotes, to protect athletes, but are they going to continue to allow people to do kipping pull-ups as an example, which could also be deemed dangerous. And I think it is an athlete safety is a really interesting topic to me. I'm not taking a position here. I like the step down off the box because I think it makes it a more competitive workout for people.
Mm,
It stops some of that separation you're describing between the mats of the world and the very average
mm-hmm.
people like me. It makes you really think
Mm-hmm.
about the workout. And I do think it's I've long felt like rebounding box jumps are dangerous in high rep. And this is a workout where if you're really, really like it wouldn't be dangerous for me because I'm not fit enough, even if I could rebound, to get more than maybe 6 or 7 rounds. But there are athletes out there that could get significantly more if they could rebound. And once you start getting into those really high reps, you know, all bets are off, even to the fittest of athletes.
Yeah, and I understand the difficulty when it comes to drawing a line in the sand somewhere, right? Like think about all the open workouts or portions of open workouts that have been max lifts or heavy lifts. I guess you could say that those would be dangerous and you can't protect everyone from themselves constantly. But I do believe that the open is a little bit more for everyone. And I doubt that they would put in this standard in a quarterfinal or in a semifinal for those athletes that really make it that far. So I think it's just a right now. And I think just keeps things interesting. Keep it spicy. You
Yeah.
don't know what's going to come. You don't know what standard is going to change. You could be ready for everything. So it doesn't bother me. I find it interesting.
I really like this one. I like the wall walks in this rep scheme much better than the
Mm-hmm.
last time we did them for a couple of reasons. I think they're way more accessible to the average athlete. Like I can,
Mm,
and I'm a very average athlete, so I can do 3 pretty easily. You
right.
start getting above 3 and things get scary quick, and
Yep.
so I think this is one where, if that kind of the average athlete, if you can not spend a lot of time under tension, if you can do those real quick, everything else kind of flows. And like when this workout was over, I was standing up. I was not rolling around on the floor and grabbing
Mm-hmm.
my knees. Now, granted, I may go harder on Sunday when I do it again, but
Yeah.
this isn't one of those that's going to absolutely destroy you and you're not going to be able to do things. And I really like the fact that I'm walking away from it with no hand tears, no, like
Yep.
none of that stuff that you tend to kind of get in week one of the open. I think one year we had snatches like in week one, and next thing you know, everyone's hands are, it was we were doing 10 at a time. And,
Yeah.
and then, everyone's hands are getting all torn up in your first week, it's just
Yeah.
tough, but it was a good
Yeah.
one. I like this one. I'm a big fan.
I do too. I have been on the fence this year about the open, whether or not I was going to be able to do anything RX just based off of where I am postpartum. And I think I'm going to give this one a go with that 35-pound dumbbell. And like you said, that number of wall walks is pretty accessible. I'm still a little bit uncomfortable upside down, but I think I can do it. So I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see. We'll see. We were going to do Friday night lights. We got a big snowstorm coming, so
Mm.
we'll see. Not sure yet when.
Well, it feels like we have a snowstorm every weekend at this point.
I
So
know.
What'd you think of the open announcement?
So I only watched from the women's competition on. I missed the first part of it because I was driving home, but it was fun to see it back. Like I
Mhm.
didn't realize how much I've missed it because we really haven't had that type of an environment in like 2 years, and I was had a lot of FOMO and jealousy for not being a part of it.
I
Nobody
thought that
called me
too.
to be a part of it and I was upset, but that's fine. That proves to you that we're not in cahoots, I
Right.
guess.
Well, I know well, Derek, who was kind of doing the role I think you probably would have been doing, is a
Damn it,
friend.
Derek.
Yeah,
Ugh,
he's a
well,
friend,
he's a
and
friend of mine too. I know.
he and
He's
I are in
great.
cahoots.
Damn it.
And if I were in cahoots with anyone, it'd be that dude. And
Yeah.
so I was messaging him during. I liked it. Here's what I really liked about it. I thought it had the same vibe as previous years, which the
Yep.
OGs should respect. I think they did a really nice job bringing in Sean, who's in a boot for some reason. I guess I need to get the story behind that. And
And Chase, right?
Chase, yeah. So I thought
Chase
having
did a
Sean,
great job.
yeah, he was terrific. And
Yeah.
then having the actual announcement read by Tia, I thought was brilliant. I mean, who's going to argue about Tia Claire Toomey
I was
reading the
just
opening
gonna say
announcement?
that.
You
Like, you
know?
can't hate on that. Like,
Yeah.
that was so smart. Way to go, CrossFit. Good job, everyone.
Yeah. And then after that, they did an interview with Justin Berg, which, I think is probably the first time most people got exposed to him. And they're probably all thinking the same thing I was, is he's like a full foot too tall for CrossFit.
Yes,
Dude's a
it's a
big boy. He's a big,
large.
but I thought it was important for him to speak, and he did a great job. I mean, he spoke with authority. You could clearly tell the guy knows his stuff. He
Yep.
explained why they chose Boz to program the workouts, and yeah, I honestly think if anybody comes away bitching and moaning about this, they're going to bitch and moan about anything, because
I
this was a
agree.
really well run event for
I
sure.
agree. And I also think like I commend Chase for how he handled that interview because he asked questions that we all really
Mhm.
wanted answers to. And that's hard to do, especially when you're working for HQ. It's a sensitive topic for HQ, and and Justin's going to answer and he's going to open up about it, but you got to be really good at asking the question and formulating it in a way that we all wanted to hear. And so good on
Right.
Chase for doing that, because it puts you in a really nerve-wracking position, to sit in front of all of us CrossFitters and JB and
Yeah.
be like, so are you using Dave's workouts or what? Like, it's the question we
Right.
all want to
I
know.
know.
And it's kind of difficult and it's an awkward position. So I just, as an interviewer, I think he did a great job in
Yeah,
that respect.
he was terrific. I'm gonna get back to that topic, but for anyone watching this video, my shirt does not say ass; it says assault
I
bike.
was just gonna ask that. I
Yeah,
was just
it
gonna
says assault
ask.
bike. I just looked down and all I saw was ass. I'm like, people are gonna think, what
Ass.
the hell is he wearing? Um, no,
we
look,
make we make ass shirts for this
yeah,
podcast from
we,
now on.
we totally should make ass shirts.
I would
Um,
wear one.
I thought Chase did a great job. I'm always like, I'm gonna take the little devil's advocate a little bit, and the fact that I'm not naive. Like, he works for HQ. They gave him the questions. I thought he did a great job asking them, and I respect them for giving the questions. Like the fact that they brought it up proactively. It's still like you're reporting on your own news, so that's a little weird, but it wasn't
Yes. Yeah,
weird,
no,
if
I
that makes
agree. I
sense. You know
agree.
what I mean?
I will say I have always, anytime I've had a chance to like do those interviews, and remember I like sat down for a full like 2 hours 2 years ago with Dave
Right.
and did like live interviews, questions,
Mhm.
whatever. They have always let me come up with those questions. I, of course, run them by them first, which is any interview. You can
Yeah.
run questions by that person first. But I believe that they would have gotten in that room and Chase would have been like, okay, like this is what people want to know. Can you answer this? And then they would have been like, yes, we can, or maybe no, we can't. I don't know. But I hear what you're saying. And I do totally agree. I'm just proud of everyone involved in that production for like hitting that stuff straight on, because we, as the viewers, we wanted to know. And I'm glad that they just figured out a way that they could get the information out there in a way that was obviously comfortable for them. But I'm glad they broached it, because I would have walked away being like, so we can talk about this?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
but
No.
yeah,
No.
good
I
job
thought.
to everyone involved.
Yeah, and the athletes were great. Like, I thought they did a great job with athlete selection. I mean, who doesn't like watching, Pat and Danielle and Noah and
Noah, Bethany.
Bethany?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, these are terrific athletes to watch. They were all super
Yeah.
competitive. It was close and fun. And so, I thought it had a really good vibe and spirit and a great kickoff this go around. And I legit believe like a lot of people that have been pouting saying, I'm not doing the Open this year because of X, whatever reason they're pissed off about. I hope they watched this and went, maybe I should sign up.
Yeah, they definitely did. And there's that group of people every year. No matter what happens, there's a group of people every year that are like, oh, I'm not going to do whatever.
Justin actually said something I thought was really intriguing to me that I had never thought of, which blows my mind because I think I'm the smartest guy in the room, but I did not.
You might be.
I did not think of this. As he said, open enrollment determines how many semifinals they have. And
right.
I was like, man, that like blew my mind for a second. It never occurred to me. If you don't have enough people signing up, you're not going to have 3 in North America. You're going to have 2. And I like to travel to those things. So, that's kind of a weird thing. Or you may have, as an example, instead of having 2 in Europe or however many they have, maybe you're only going to have 1. Like that's who's really going to suffer. Or, kind of the continents where they don't, get as many people enrolling. So I just thought that was really interesting. And another reason why getting people to sign up for the Open is so important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know that we have an interview to get to, but before we do that, can we get a little update from you on what's going on with your initiative in getting people to sign up for the Open and helping out the adaptive athletes?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't planning for that. So you put me on the spot. No, it's going real well.
Sorry. I don't need numbers, but just like, how's it going?
No, it's going real well. I've raised about 10 grand so far.
Hell yeah.
And that's actually without this, a lot of the sponsors have volunteered to throw money in the pot and just haven't yet.
Yep.
They'll kind of be on the end of it. So yeah, I keep, so I'm right at the 10 grand mark, which I think is right on pace for where I've kind of wanted to be. I think, I had somebody message me the other day, say they were disappointed I wasn't at full goal yet. And while I appreciate the sentiment, I'm like, I don't think I needed to be. Like, I haven't been pushing it every single day. I don't want this to, be like, I'm trying to show up CrossFit. Like, I'm just trying to help a group of people, and so I think it's, it's gone pretty well so far. I think the sponsors have been great. Actually, do you ever use Wad and Done? Have you ever used them?
Yes, I love Wad. I'm like really anti-grip. I'm the worst. Like I might tear my hands up, whatever, but they and the Victory grips are the only ones that I like will kind of bust out sometimes.
Well, this is not an ad, but they reached out to me and they said, hey, we'll give you a code, which by the way is MWGA -adapt. And for every purchase someone makes, they'll take 25% of that purchase and donate it to the campaign, which is very cool. And they make great stuff. I mean, their hand grips, they may yell at me for saying this, but for me, it's like KT tape for your hands.
Yep, totally.
And just keeps you from ripping. And I just thought that was really generous of them. And I've just had, a lot of sponsors do that sort of thing. And so I think that part's been really good. I'll be interested to see, I know open enrollment is up in the adaptive. I think I heard it was up 300 or 400 year over year, which, by percentage, that would be 20 or 30% probably. So
it's pretty good growth.
Yeah, it seems like good growth by anyone's stretch of the imagination. So, I don't know. We'll see how it all pans out. I'm excited to see how much we raise, and I'm going to be super happy to cut some checks at the end of semifinals. But so far so good. So
cool,
good stuff. So. All right. And our interview tonight is with Katie, who is a Spartan racer, which I thought was a really interesting conversation for us because we've never had anyone, I shouldn't say never, but we don't often have people that are kind of CrossFit adjacent like this, that they're real athletic pursuits or something other than trying to make it to the games. And so I thought it was fun, a lot of fun.
And isn't she the world's toughest mutter?
Yeah. She's
or whatever that title is. She's like insane winning those crazy things where they like basically make her run for 24 hours and then light her on fire. And then she like eats pizza and does it all over again. Now you don't have to listen to the interview. I gave the whole thing away.
Yeah, no. She's a total beast. Like I'm just always so impressed with what people can do outside of the gym. Like training's fun. And I know we love talk about training, but I really love to watch people that are truly athletic and go do something with it. And so it's always fun to just get a few minutes to sit down and talk to, people that are doing that. So that was a fun conversation. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, good luck with your sleep training. Baby. Try to get some rest. I'm going to enjoy my weekend and then do this again on Sunday, and we'll recap when we get back together. And for everyone listening,
Perfect.
we are going to kick you over to the show. Welcome to Kettlebells and Cocktails. I'm your host, John, back with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, how are you?
I'm so great. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm excited now that I know you're feeding your baby solid food. You're feeding the kid food now, like real food?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like I don't know. Okay, all the parents listening to this are going to be like, yeah, done, Nikki. But like, I don't know. I thought that when your baby turned like, 6 months, and we've been messing with solids since like 4 months, but like 6 months, they start eating food. I thought you like eased into it and you like tried a thing. And then a few days later, you like tried another thing. He had his 6 month checkup yesterday, and the doctor was like, yeah, so like, do 3 meals a day. And I was like, what? And then he was like, yeah, and like for the second and third meals, because I've been like breastfeeding him and then trying food after, he's like, for the second and third meals, like feed him first. And I was like, what? Like all the food he wants when he's hungry? And he was like, yeah. And like, just feed him whatever you're eating. Like, what do you eat? Like sweet potatoes, ground turkey. I was like, what?
Like,
like I'm not feeding him like mushed up apples. Are you kidding me? He was like, yeah, no, just whatever you're eating. Just make sure that it's not so big he chokes.
the doctor does know you're going to be feeding that baby pizza and White Claw now, right?
He did say whatever I'm eating.
Yeah, whatever I'm eating. Okay, pizza and White Claw. Let's go. Let's do this.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I guess I just thought that it was going to be this like gradual whatever. And no, it's all of a sudden like this free for all. And no one really prepares you for how stressful it is when your kid starts solids. It's just like I thought I was in this really good spot where I was like, I got momming down, I'm figuring out the schedule, he's napping, I'm pumping, things are great. And it's like, don't choke on this ground turkey, I guess. Good luck, baby.
That is a lot. I'm always worried my golden retriever is going to choke on food, so I couldn't even imagine a child. Like
same. I have fully replaced all the paranoia I had with my dogs with paranoia about my baby. Fully.
Well, the good news is at the year mark, you can just give him an Uber Eats card and he can just order his own food. So it'd be fine.
He's probably going to be better at friggin' cell phones and technology already at that age than I am now.
We'll keep talking about this topic, but our guest is Katie Knight. Katie's on. Hi, Katie. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
We're excited to have you. Yeah, my kids, Uber Eats 24/7. I haven't fed my kids in 2 years. It's awesome.
That's amazing.
At all. Like they just come in. This is what my life's like now. I don't know how you guys live, but this is what my life's like. I got one that's living at home full time, and she'll just like randomly wander downstairs, go to the front door, pick up whatever food has arrived. It's usually McDonald's, so the whole entire house smells amazing, and she'll eat whatever junk food she's ordered. The other one will like come down and put some toaster waffles in and slab or, peanut butter on them. And that'll be her meal. And they both weigh like 100 pounds, like these tiny little girls just eating like 24-year-old college boys. Is the best. Absolutely the best. And me over here doing RP, like eating chicken and rice, like I'm on the last 2 weeks of Survivor, trying to live. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
And how old are your kids?
Oh, they're not even kids anymore. They're 20 and 18. They're out of control. So they're about your age, that's how I feel. So it's all good.
Oh my God. Is that weird for you?
No,
I'm a little older. I'm quite a bit older, actually.
Just a little. I feel like you both are just slightly older than my daughters, but you're far more accomplished than both of my daughters at this point, though. So I'll give you credit. Yeah. So this is kind of our first time in a while we've had you're a CrossFit athlete, but you do real sports. Which have you ever seen that episode of what was the guy with the mullet on HBO? Do you remember this dude, Nikki? And it was always his line. Eastbound and Down was
Eastbound and that show's fantastic.
It's so good. And he was a baseball player, and they said to him once, like, do you do CrossFit? And he's like, no, I do real sports. I don't exercise for a living. I do real sports. And that's what Katie does. She's like, you're the Tough Mudder world champ, right?
I am. It depends on who you ask, because some people would say that CrossFit's the real sport, and then like, you know, the whole obstacle racing industry is not. But I think they both are great. But yeah, WTM, World's Toughest Mudder. And then I did Spartan's World Ultra Championship, which is a 24-hour race as well.
That's a 24-hour race.
I can't even wrap my mind around that. I did one Tough Mudder, and me and my buddy who did it together both came off the course, and we were like, never again. Never again will we do. It was so brutal on my old body. I couldn't walk. I am not shitting you. We went to the bar afterwards, which was probably part of the mistake, but we go to this bar afterwards, and here's how sore I was. Nikki, you'll love this. This would have been 6 years ago or so. I'm also going to preface this by saying I tried to be superhuman. I trained hard for this Tough Mudder. It was a little under 13 miles. It was like 30 obstacles or something. It was a big course. And for whatever reason, it was really muddy. Like they excessively muddied this course. And so me and my buddy are like, we're going to run hard. We're going to be real men, you know? And so we go all in on this course. And I think we completed it in like 3 hours and 15 minutes or something, which felt pretty good at the time. But when I was done, we go to the bar and I can't walk. I'm already sore. You ever been sore like 30 minutes after? That's what it was like. Literally holding chairs as I'm walking across the bar, like strangers, just grabbing the back of their chairs as I'm walking across the bar trying to get to the bathroom. It was miserable, and I've never done another one, and I never will. So God bless you, Katie.
That's essentially how everyone is after the 24-hour races. Like they make you get up on the podiums, and like you actually need help from like the other people standing around to like step up, like, you know, what would have not been a big deal the day before, but it's pretty brutal. So everyone has trouble walking.
Yeah, but mine wasn't 24 hours. Mine was 3 hours. Yours was 24.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Katie, can you explain like what a 24-hour race entails? Like I cannot wrap my mind around it. Like you literally are you going for that entire time, or is it kind of like do you get naps? Like I don't understand how does it work?
Well, the goal is not to take naps, because then you lose time, and then you lose miles. So for Spartan and World's Toughest, you do laps. So depending on the course, it can be anywhere from 5 mile laps to 6.5 or whatever. And within those laps, you have usually around 20 obstacles, varying in what they are, and they're spread out through the whole entire lap. And then you come in and you have a pit crew, usually some buddies that help you out, help you refuel, have water ready for you to put in your pack, and then you head on out. You want like your pit stops to be, it's kind of like NASCAR, right? So you want your pit stops to be like 5 minutes. So you have 5 minutes to kind of recuperate, and then you're out on the course again. And for the first,
I'm sorry. You have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to recuperate from a 6.5 mile run.
Yes.
Over and over and over again for 24 hours.
For 24 hours. The longer you stay in that pit, the like harder it is to go back out. And like I've had buddies who like fall asleep and take naps, and then by that point it's just like kind of over, because you've lost all, you know, motivation to keep going. But yeah, you refuel. You start out with like gels and snacks, and then by, you know, hour 12 you're eating like pizza and like PB&Js or whatever you like is good for you for running. And then when you're on course, like you're running a majority of the time, but if like there's uphills, like Spartan was in Telluride, which had a lot of elevation, you're power hiking as fast as you can, essentially. So yeah, it's 24 hours of movement.
I'm dying to hear about the food aspects for me are what I want to hear about, because I've watched 100-mile races before and watched these guys eat, and it's insane. So I'm dying to know what you eat to get through 24 hours.
Yeah, my main goal is to stay hydrated, because I've done some 50-mile trail runs, ultras, that like when you get dehydrated, it's not good news. Like your body just kind of starts shutting down. So if I can stay hydrated, and I'll use like my like hydration BCA mix and things like that. But yeah, I started out, and most people do, with like more like gels and chews, things that are easy. And then your body eventually needs food. So my go-tos are like the waffles, and then I love peanut butter and jellies, like the Uncrustables.
Mhm.
Those are easy. You can kind of grab one and then go out on the course again. Pizza's been my go-to at like around, midnight 1 for the past 2 24-hour races. And then it's basically just like anything and everything, like M&Ms, oatmeal. I don't do a great job. The guy who won World's Toughest, they had like rice and chicken and like all this gourmet food, like being, handed to him at certain hours of the night. And I'm like eating like a half leftover piece of pizza. Like I could do way better, but it's different depending on, your stomach and who the athlete is. But
I watched this guy once. I did a 100-mile relay. And so I decided I'd go watch like the last 10 miles. And so we went to one of those stations. I watched this guy come in at mile 90 and he grabs a gallon of sweet tea and just crushes that thing. And I mean, sweet tea just crushes it. And then 3 pieces of pizza.
Yep.
And then back out running hard. And I mean, running hard. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not a great runner anyway, but the dude's certainly outrunning me. And he's at mile 90, after crushing 3 pieces of pizza. I'm like, I'd just be sitting there puking for an hour. It's really impressive.
I did find a new thing that I really love is pickle juice, and they come in like little pickle juice shots. But before this one, I couldn't find that in like any grocery store, and so I just grabbed like a giant jar of pickles. So I was just drinking out of the pickle jar and like then eating the pickles, which worked really well. But yeah, it's sometimes some people can't stomach that.
I am like as in awe of this conversation as I was when we were talking about the winner of Survivor, where I just like, I cannot wrap my mind. I'm like, how did you go to this island and you ate like a spoonful of rice every day for like a month? I'm like looking at you and I'm like, Katie, how do you move your body consistently for 24 hours? This is insane. And I feel like people don't even realize that you're not even like running laps over and over. You're also like diving into mud pools and being electrocuted by live wires and jumping through fire and like what the
it is. It's when you think about it, it's kind of insane. And like most people be like, why would you do that? I think it's pretty fun, and I like to push myself or my body or my mind to see how far or how long I can go. But the obstacles, like I first got into ultra racing with just trails, which is a lot different than throwing in, 20 plus obstacles each lap. Like John, I'm sure, getting in the water, and some of them are like freezing cold. And then having to do that at like, 4 a.m. And luckily this year it was right outside Vegas and the temperatures didn't drop quite as much. And usually people put on wetsuits, but this year I was very lucky that I didn't have to put on a wetsuit because you're moving enough that your body stays warm. But getting in like a freezing cold dunk pool was pretty brutal each lap.
It was
during the day, it was great because you get to it and you'd be really hot and you'd be like diving in, but not at night.
It was cold when we did ours. And
yeah.
I don't think people understand how scary some of these obstacles are. Maybe we could talk about that some. Just like I had 2. Like I did that cold dunk take. That wasn't scary. It just hurts. Like it's just cold, and some of them are just that. But some of this stuff, like I went into it thinking, all right, I'm a pretty decent swimmer. I'm moderately athletic. I should be fine. Well, the weekend before ours, someone had actually died on the course they jumped into deep water and drowned. Like they didn't get him out. So when I'm there, there's, dudes with scuba tanks on the sides of the water, like they're extra precautions, right? So I climb up, I'm getting ready to jump in, and I have no idea how high we are until I get to the top. And I ask the guy, I'm like, how high is this? And he's like, it's about 18 feet, which is pretty damn high. And from up there, it looks a hell of a lot higher. And I'm like, how deep is the water? He's like, I have no idea. I'm like, all right, thanks. So I go for it. And keep in mind, I'm wearing shoes and shorts, and I have on like kind of a half wetsuit because it is cold, And so I jump in, and here was my mistake. And this is where it gets scary. The water was about 12 or 13 feet deep, right? So I jump in and I, start descending because I hit at a hard rate. And right as I get to the bottom, I tap off the bottom instead of pushing off the bottom. Like as soon as I felt the bottom, I tapped, and now I'm going up, but I'm going up real slow. like real slow. And like, there's a scary moment where you're looking up and you can see the light, but you're not sure you can make it. It'll freak you out,
that
man.
is scary.
It's very scary. And, and then there's some of these obstacles where you're going through tubes and the tubes are underwater. So you're submerged for a minute in a tube with somebody on one end of you and somebody on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've got that kind of moment of hesitation of, am I going to get out of this water or not? And if I don't, will somebody get me,
Right. Right.
I don't know how you do it. Like, how do you wrap your mind around that to just keep moving and to keep doing them over and over and over
over? My mind is the whole episode. My jaw's dropped. Please tell me everything.
You kind of get into like a routine or a pattern. Like you can make it to this mile marker and then this obstacle, and you kind of like have, just like, it just becomes routine almost, it's 24 hours. So you have that, like you get past, mile 3, it's like, that's the worst part. And then, you keep going. The obstacles, there's some that are like way better than others. Like, I used to jump off cliffs like growing up. So like that doesn't bother me at all. But the tube thing he's talking about, when there's other people surrounding you and somebody's stuck and they're not going, it's like, if you're claustrophobic at all, like that's pretty scary because you can't move. Like you're just stuck under like tubes. There's this one, it's called Fear the Beard. Was probably my least favorite. It's this huge incline, like this dirt rocky incline, and they have a cargo net that's like smashed to the ground. And you have to go through like this water pit and then crawl up under the cargo net up the hill. And if it's just you, it takes a long time to get up that because the cargo net is just like smashed to the ground. So like you kind of look around and like other people with Tough Mudder, you can like do obstacles at the same time. And so like you have a group, you kind of all like stand up and like go up together. But if it's just you, it's brutal. So just having to like keep going for me, it wasn't an option. It was just like, you have to keep going if you want to win.
I think it would be a lot like CrossFit out on the course. Like you make friends like friends in that, it's like, being in a battle, it's like you have this shared suffering. And I've always felt that my affinity toward CrossFit is it's so hard when you're doing something really difficult with someone else, you become friends. And the Tough Mudder I did was the same way. Like I was making friends out on the course, doing that same thing. Like you get something, I'm not doing this alone. Hey buddy, come here. Let's go.
She's out to win. So it's like you're making friends, but you're like not really making friends.
True. Well, during the first half of the race and even like through the night, there's like, the males that are running. And so there's one guy that I ran with in the Spartan Ultra World Championships, and he was out on the course too. So we did a couple laps together, which is fun. And you have someone to talk to. But yeah, I didn't really run or make any friends with the like female competitors because I wasn't ever really by any that were like running with me. But like some of the guys are like super good. Like the guy who won ran like 115 miles, which is insane. I hit 90. And so like running with some of them was super fun. But yeah, it's like it's a big team effort almost. Like, at 4 a.m. it's like, all right, these people are still out here. Like, let's go.
So have you ever reached a moment in one of these races where you felt like you were going to fail? Like you mentioned dehydration earlier. Has that ever actually happened to you on a course?
During a trail ultra, I got pretty dehydrated and I had to like walk essentially the last like 10 miles. On these ones, not so much. I mean, there's hard times throughout the race. Usually it comes around like sunset or sunrise when you still have like 6 hours to go. And so that's kind of hard. But then you like kind of break through. So there's ups and downs. They say that like, when you run an ultra, it's like going through the stages of grief. Like you kind of hit all of them, which does happen. So
that's what aging is like too, by the way.
Can't wait.
I can't understand. Like I keep thinking back to like the one time I ran a marathon, the one and only time. And I'm like, it was, and I'm a super average fitness type person, but it really took like everything to run this like 4.5 hour race. I can't comprehend the level of athleticism that you have to just keep going. Like I couldn't. Miles 20 to 26 were like just the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Like I don't understand how you got to mile 90. It is just a marathon
is still really impressive. In fact, I've only run 50 and above, so I've never even ran a marathon, but that sounds harder to me than this. Like running on the road for 26 miles, like at least for these, like you're not really bored, right? You have to do this obstacle, then this, then you have to run. But it's also your pit crew really helps. So like they help keep you motivated when you come in and then they send you back off. That really helps. And then, yeah, just meeting all the other competitors around the course helps you keep going, but you still have to.
What?
We're all kind of psychotic, maybe that's just,
Well,
that's what it is.
Little bit.
What's your normal weekend training look like to train for a race this long? Like how many hours do you have to put in a week?
Yeah, so it depends. So when I'm in like ultra training mode and not like kind of other fitness competitions, it's a lot of time running and a lot of time on the bike. So I found that if I stay on the mountain bike, the road bike for, hours, it keeps the, all the injuries off my feet, doesn't beat up my body as much. But you're probably still putting in like 50-mile weeks and then a ton on the bike as well.
What other sports are you training for other sports besides these ultras? You doing other competitions or is this your main thing?
I am going to there's a new one called Go Ruck Games. If you've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Rogue, Go Ruck and Savage Race partnered together for a big event where it's going to have obstacle courses and like strongman and rucking. And then I'm also training for High Rocks, if you guys have heard that one.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, so that one's like a fitness competition with running and then like CrossFit type workout stations. So yeah. But
the High Rocks thing is very interesting to me. I'm like very intrigued. Like I haven't done a competition in a long time, but that's the kind of thing that I totally feel like I could.
Yeah, you should.
Into
they have like
point.
doubles and like team relays too, which are super fun. I've done the team or the doubles, but that one's actually really hard because that's speed. So you got to be fast. So I'm working on that game for the beginning of the year, and then I'll hit the ultra circuit at the end of the year. And that doesn't mean I have to go very fast.
I'm not very fast, but I just like, for me, because I've done like one like obstacle course and it was short, very small and very like minor, but it's the obstacles themselves. Like I'm just not built for it. I'm too like squeamish. I can't do the dunk, the cold dunk. I can't fucking do it. I can't I can't jump off things. I can't be dark out. Like I'm such a weenie, but like, if it was like run a mile and then do like, 50 burpees as fast as you can and then hand it off to whoever, like I'm totally down for that kind of thing.
Yeah, you should definitely do a High Rocks or a DECA. There's like DECA Fit and DECA Strongs too. They're similar, but they're Spartans version. So
yeah, I would try it. Our girlfriend Logan, who's been on the show a few times, who does CrossFit broadcast work with me. She's an MC. She was MCing for the last couple of High Rocks events.
Oh, okay.
This past year, and she said it was so cool to watch.
Yeah,
it was like wicked entertaining and fun. I think it might be like one of the next things that we all get into, like we all have CrossFit, we all have watching the pros do their thing, and like sometimes we participate, and like Waza has this big community. Like I feel like High Rocks is the next thing that, like, if you don't super hate running, sometimes CrossFitters hate running, I think it could be wicked cool.
Yeah, and it's super popular over in Europe, and it's gaining a lot of attraction over here, so it could be.
Yeah.
How many competitions a year are you competing in these days?
So I'll have probably like 6 to 7 big ones throughout the whole year. So I'll save, won't do a ton of ultras this year, but I'll hit like the big, like 24-hour ones, because you can only do so many of those. And last year I only did about like 3 races. That was my first Tough Mudder ever. And it was a 24-hour one. And then I've only done 2 other Spartans. So I came from like, more of a CrossFit background, doing CrossFit comps, coaching, personal training. And then I just recently jumped into this, scene and industry, and it's pretty fun. So
if you're the kind of person that continuously wants to push yourself and you grew up jumping off cliffs, and now you're doing 24-hour obstacle course racing, like what is next? What is left out there that you're like, oh, I really want to, like, I don't know, like, is there competitive skydiving? Like, what is the next crazy thing that you would really want to do to put your body to the test?
There are a couple 100-milers out there that are like the hardest that I would really want to do. because I've never done 100. So that'd probably be next on the list. And then probably climbing some pretty crazy mountains. That'd be pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know,
That'd be
some of
cool.
the tallest peaks. So yeah, I feel like that would push your body pretty hard. Or to, you know, I've hiked about 100, couple sections on the PCT. So to do the whole thing would be pretty cool. There's not really like a competition of that, but
No, but that's a whole life accomplishment there.
yeah, right.
So is this your full-time gig then, to be able to do these competitions like throughout the years? I know you mentioned off there, you're doing some personal training, some other things, but is this like kind of the thing that you're focused on for the year?
Yeah. So I started at the end of last year, and it's kind of pushed my way through for competitions and invites for some of the bigger comps like Go Ruck Games and stuff this year. So that's my goal, is to win them, because that's where the money is. And then I've gained some sponsors. And then other than that, yeah, I'm doing online personal training. I used to do, you know, training in the gym and coaching CrossFit. But I've kind of transitioned to this because it's a little bit more flexible, and I can work with clients, you know, all over the US or even the world. So it just works a little bit better for my lifestyle and training.
I'm surprised more CrossFitters aren't doing this. Like, and Nikki, I don't know, like maybe I'm just missing out here, but sounds like you guys have put together, or, you know, your industry has put together this circuit that sounds similar to like, you know, professional tennis or professional golf. And, you know, CrossFit has the games, and that's kind of it, you know, where you guys have, like, sounds like you have multiple things you could do. I'm just wondering why more CrossFitters aren't training to do this, where they could earn more money than just going to do thrusters and trying to make it to the games.
Yeah, I don't think the crossover is as great as you might expect. I truly think that it takes, I mean, I think CrossFit is incredible training for generalized fitness, and it makes you strong as fuck. But like, I think that there's not quite as much crossover in a true endurance aspect as you might guess. I mean, a lot of CrossFitters are definitely fit enough and can train endurance with some of the implements and some of the training tools and some of the things that we do, but it's a very different and specialized way of looking at competing. I think that not everyone is always willing to put in 50 miles at a time on the bike, or, you know what I mean? Like, not everyone's willing to change over their 12-minute Metcon to a 2-hour run just to kind of get their endurance up. But there's some, we know that Hunter McIntyre has been crushing it over at High Rocks.
Yeah,
you know, like, there's some crossover athletes. Yeah,
it's definitely more of an endurance based sport. It's definitely hybrid with, like, you know, strength training, but it's not nearly as you don't have to strength train quite as much compared to CrossFit. So it is more of a foot race and endurance based. And so maybe that could be why, is that you know, CrossFitters don't necessarily want to bike and run. They want to be in the gym. And I mean, the payout for the games is, like, you know, ridiculous compared to any of these championships. But if you were an athlete that did multiple small races and then a couple of big ones, like, yeah, you can make a decent buck. But when it comes to, like, because what is the top, like, what does the winner get for the games? I don't even know.
It's like 320 to win, but the reality is, it's like, you know, most of these guys are earning less than 6 figures a year. From earnings. I don't know what they're getting in sponsorships, but, you know, and most of them are getting, the vast majority of them are 50,000 or less in earnings. I guess for me, the question is, which is more fun? You know, like, for me, that'd be the underlying thing. Like, you've done them both. Which do you like better?
I mean, I'm a gym rat. I love being in the gym and lifting weights. To me, that's super fun. But I also like the outdoor aspect. Like, for these races, you're gonna be outdoor. You're gonna be, like, in Telluride, you are essentially in the mountains for 24 hours. So I find that at the end of the day more fun, and the training more fun, because you can go be out on the trails and, you know, on the bike. And so that's where I would rather be. But it's hard. I'm not like a ton of ultra runners, because I spend too much time in the gym probably. And I'm trying to move away from that. But I think it helps a ton for obstacles, to have that strength and then still be able to have the endurance side. So it's a true hybrid.
Yeah. That's so cool. So now that you're doing some personal training and stuff and you've got clients all over the place, are you doing sort of like generalized fitness, or is anyone coming to you because they want to train to do this stuff too?
Yeah, I have a mix actually. Some people want to do Spartan ultras. Some people want to do, trail ultras or get their endurance up. And then I have quite a few clients that just want to be healthy and be more fit, or get back to working out after having a baby, or, whatever it is. So it's a fun mix. So it's not boring, or it's not just all, people who want to do ultras, but I enjoy it. It's really cool watching their progress.
That's cool.
Well, you're never talking me into doing another one unless Nikki will do one with me. What do you think, Nikki?
Hell no. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I don't like to be
There's
cold.
some short ones.
I don't like to be sore. I don't like to be outdoors for all that long. There's mosquitoes. No way.
I could be talked into trying one that, the one that you described that's more CrossFit centric. The Tough Mudder I won't do again.
Yeah.
That's a one and done. I had too many scary moments. Like I had to climb this fence that was like 15 feet high, and I get to the top and I'm like, they just built this thing yesterday. Like this isn't, it's not like a house that had people supervising. Like I'm up there and it's all rickety and I can see the nails pulling out. I'm like, this is not good. This is not good.
Is that the Matterhorn, the one that's really tall? You have to climb up under the nets to like the very top.
Maybe. I don't even remember. It's been so long now. Like the whole thing was just like, I still have nightmares about it. The entire thing. And then, at the end you have to run through an electric fence. Like no, absolutely not.
See, y'all had me until that.
Yeah, it hurt.
Y'all had me until that. When Tough Mudders first came out, right? Because it was like all CrossFitters went and did a Tough Mudder. That was like a thing at the very, very beginning. And when they first came out, I was game. I was like, cool, this is fun. We'll get muddy, run around, do some shit. I'm gonna be strong and like climb up walls. Woo. And then I like saw on the website that you had to literally like run through live wires and jump over fire. And I was like, well, now we are ruining my skin. And we are like getting me to the point where I am like, I don't know, potentially like bruising and cutting and like, no, I'm done with this.
Oh, the electric fence, Nikki, here's the best part of the electric fence. So me and my buddy Marty, who by the way is our podcast host, right? He works for the company that hosts the show. Oh. And he and I were doing this thing together, right? And we get to the electric fence and we were dead. And when I mean we're dead, like I was literally at the end, you had to go over these mud walls. I was reaching down and grabbing my shorts and pulling my legs over because I couldn't move my legs on their own, right? So we get to this, electric fence, and the guy's on the microphone because it's the final event right at the finish line. And, he's cheering people on, and he says to us, hey, you don't have to run through. But it was the way he said it was like, yeah, but if you don't, you're a big wuss, So of course we're like, all right, let's go. So we go in at the same time, and I don't even see my buddy at this point. I get hit on the side of the arm, like within seconds of getting in, and I can only describe it like getting punched. That's what it felt like. It felt like getting hit really hard. And so I just dove into the mud and I crawled out. I didn't get hit again. Well, my buddy Marty got hit twice. And we get out and they hand you a beer and a headband. And I walk over to him and he's holding his beer. And I know this is on video. Some people see this on video, but he's holding the beer and his hand is just shaking like this. And he's not, I'm like, hey, are you okay? And he's literally not saying a word, catatonic for at least 45 seconds and beer just going everywhere.
Oh no.
He couldn't speak at all. And it took him about 45 seconds before he finally got it together. And, we were both just like, all right, never again. That's it. Like proved our point.
No,
they hurt. They like, there's a couple different obstacles that had the electric and some like hung down and you like crawled through. And like those, it was kind of like a little spark. And that was like it. And then there was one that like had wires and you had to like weave in and out. So if you didn't touch them, you didn't get shocked. But man, when they hit, like if you accidentally hit it, like hit my hamstring at like, I don't know, 4 a.m. And I was like, oof. I was like, all right, I want to go home.
Yeah,
No.
it's not fun. But you do, of course, we did it as a group. We weren't competing, and you do get a sense
Right.
of teamwork and
Mhm.
unity. Like you're pulling each other over walls, and you have to problem
Right.
solve some of these obstacles.
Mhm.
And you talk to people you've never met. As a matter of fact, we're we're running through this course, and some girl comes behind Marty and like just slaps him on the ass as hard as she can. She's like, "Come on, Grandpa, let's go!"
Oh
And
shit.
and then she turns and looks. She's like, "Oh my God, I thought you were somebody else."
Oh.
But that makes sense. Tough Mudder community is super fun. Like they're out there, and it's a blast. Like the award ceremony, there's people with colored hair and like you know piercings. Like it's just a fun group. But you guys would like a Spartan. You could do like a 5K Spartan event, and there's
Yeah.
no water in that. There's no electricity or anything.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's more
There's still
my
some
speed.
there's some fun obstacles still, but yeah, nothing crazy.
So
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I do I'm with you, Katie. Like I like getting outside for that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I love being in the gym and I love CrossFit and I always have and I always will. But like when the weather gets nice and there's like a cool trail or thing to explore that's outdoor, it's like I'm not a huge runner, but I do enjoy like being outside like that.
Right.
I like the idea of doing one again, only because I feel like I put in a lot of hours in the gym here. And
Yeah.
at some point you feel like you need to test it, see what you're capable of. But I've done enough marathons and long distance running to know what you have to put in hours wise to do a really long race. And I have no
Yeah.
desire to do another 13 miles or
Right.
15 or whatever.
I think there's Spartan has like a 3 miler and I think a 6.
I could do either one of those probably and
Yeah.
not hate my life too bad.
That's perfect. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
So Katie, are you going to do the open? Like, are you going to be dipping a toe into the competitive CrossFit space at all this year?
Every year I've done the open workouts. Most years I've signed up. Last year with training, I didn't just because I knew I wouldn't be able to do all of them. But I always go into the gym and I'll do as good as well as I can. But yeah, I love CrossFit. My mom, who's now 61, she got us all, like I have 5 siblings. She got us all into CrossFit. She was the first one to do it. And so like in 2017 or 16, I jumped on the CrossFit bandwagon and loved it since. Are you guys doing the open?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
I was talking about it last night. Actually, Ben and I were talking about it last night. I can't decide if I want to RX this year or scale. I guess it's probably going to be a game time decision. Like I feel really good right now. I mean, you ever get in that moments where you don't really have any aches and pains, nothing's tweaked. Like, I wouldn't say I'm at my peak physical condition, but I feel really good at this age, So it's like if I were ever going to RX, I could, but yeah, I still know my luck. Like I've been training in the basement for the last 4 months and it'll be, 22.1 is going to be muscle ups for time. And I haven't done a muscle up in 6 months.
Right.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I have been doing a lot of wall walks though. I'm preparing.
Oh, perfect.
Good. You're
that
ready.
That was brutal last year. Like I didn't underestimate it because I know how awful they are. But I still don't think it would be that bad by the end of it. It's like my shoulder joints were like not working.
I've perfected the belly flop.
Yeah.
Totally perfected it. Just coming off the wall at full speed, maximum density to the floor. It's awesome.
It was,
I think it was
terrible.
Faster.
Hey, it works.
I was like very pregnant at this time last year and did not have to deal with any of that. So that sounds terrible, you guys.
Right. You didn't have to do it. I hope it comes up again. You need to do that workout.
I had it on my goals. And I can't remember if I talked about it on the show the last time we recorded. So if I did, feel free to skip over this part if you're listening. But I kind of had it as my goal to be back to where I was by the open this year.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm here and I'm kind of like, I don't know, depends on the day, somewhere between 75 and 85% of where I was pre-baby. I'm just realizing that was like a very unrealistic goal. Like I had zero concept of what my body would go through. And so it was stupid for me to be like, yeah, by the open, I want to be RX again. Like based off of what, Nikki? You've never had a baby. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. So like, just chill. And so, he's 6 months old and I'm kind of at a point now where I'm crushing scaled wads, you know, and like learning how to RX things, learning how to get back towards some of my lifts and numbers and things where I've been before. And so I think I'm going to enter the open this year with a scaled mindset again to see how I can do. But it's, you know, if something comes up, if a workout comes up that I feel like I can RX, I'll try. Like I'll give it I'll give it the old college try. And I do have it on my goals list to do all of last year's open wads RX at some point, because I scaled them all for my pregnancy last year and they still all kicked my butt. But like there were a couple that I really liked. I mean, you never really like an open wad, but there were a couple that like felt like they could have been a good moment for me to shine and feel good about my fitness at an RX level, like the dumbbell snatch burpee box step over one. Like I had to use a lighter dumbbell, and those are kind of like good movements for me. So it's someday when I'm really back to where I was, I do want to do all of them from last year, because that was the year that I had to get real creative about how to work around my belly. And
what did they have? Did they have you? Did you just not do the wall walk one, or what was the like scaled like portion of that for someone who was pregnant?
I could have done like bear crawls. I think was that one. I can't really remember. There were like, because they brought in the fundamentals level too, there definitely was something I could have done, but it was also like, pregnancy is weird. And sometimes when you like the scaled, quote unquote, scaled version of something just doesn't work for you physically. Like there are some women that can do push-ups their entire pregnancy or do them off a box. I had to stop way early because I just presented too much pressure and I was like coning. So if the mod was push-ups, then I had to do something different, even though that would have been a fine scaled version. So I just remember having to get wicked creative and like using a lot of the assault bike.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine also doing bear crawls with like a belly. Like that would be so uncomfortable. Like
it was weird. I had to get real creative at some point, but I still got good fitness in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you. That's cool. You still did it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Sort of. It's never really fun.
I'm looking forward to this year's experience. I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to drop into 3 different gyms for my school.
Oh, that's awesome.
It'll be fun. Well, I mean, I don't have my home gym closed, or my, the gym I was attending closed. And, I'm not going to, there's no chance I'm videoing me working out, zero chance of that and sending it in. So like, I want to celebrate the community. I haven't done that before. So I'm going to find 3 local gyms. I've kind of already picked them out, and I'm just going to go, do their Friday night lights and hang out with their community and have some fun and remember what CrossFit's all about again.
I love that.
Yeah, I've only done the open in gyms. So when I used to coach at CrossFit Sanitas in Boulder, like we had, like they would have such a cool experience. Like Friday night lights, we'd have teams, we'd have like theme nights. So like one would be like, 70s night, and we'd all dress in like neon workout.
Are you still at Sanitas?
No, I'm not. I left there in like 1920.
Okay. I wanted to make sure, because that's Rose's gym. And I don't want people to think we're in cahoots or anything. I want people to think
no. That was a long
time
ago.
Cocktails.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
No, that was a long time ago. But every gym I've been to, it's always like a really good time. So you'll have a blast.
Yeah.
I think Friday Night Lights is the best part of the open. My opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Like better than the workouts, better than like checking the leaderboard to see who you're beating. Like there's nothing better than watching somebody get their first muscle up in the open. Like that is like a magical moment. Like I want to tear up when I see it happen. It's just like, it's always unreal. And it actually isn't even muscle ups. Like I make it sound like it has to be something big. It's actually always seeing somebody get their first pull up.
Yeah, for sure.
Like things that a lot of us take for granted because we've been doing it for a long time. You see somebody hit that first thing they've never done before. You're just like, oh my God, like that's why we do this. It's
totally.
It's so cool. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
I love the videos. I do tear up at some of them that are like super touching. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow.
I know. Well, granted, neither one of us are the athlete that you are, but you still forget after a decade of fitness how far you've come.
Oh, yeah.
And like I can remember back to how hard learning pull-ups was, and sit-ups. Like I remember doing Tabata sit-ups for the first time and thinking I was going to die, and like, oh my God, I'm never going to do more than 40 sit-ups in my life, and now you just take it for granted. You can just sit there and do them all day, and you forget that someone else somewhere is starting where you were.
Right.
And it's so much fun to watch that happen and realize their journey's just begun, and soon they will hate everything like we do. It's great.
Yep. That's what's cool about CrossFit and the community. That exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Katie, thanks for joining us. It was
yes, thanks for having me.
Nikki,
you guys are a lot of fun to talk to.
Yay.
We love hearing about people doing things other than just thrusters.
Well, I'm glad I could supply that.
If anyone wanted to find your programming or your one-on-one coaching, or just wanted to stalk you online, where would they find you?
They can check out my Instagram, and then there's a link in my bio. They can fill out a form that will they'll answer a bunch of questions about what they want to do for their fitness journey, and then we kind of go from there. My username is K80_night, so like K80 night. So they can find me there. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. Nikki, I want videos of the little man feeding himself.
Oh my gosh. Actually, I will send you one. Matt just took one tonight. I was feeding him while I was holding him. I'm surprised I'm not covered in whatever kiwi puree or something.
I need to see it. And the pictures you posted, your Valentine pictures of him were adorable. Like so adorable.
I know I'm so biased, but he's so fucking cute.
He's just a little man. Every time I see him, he's just a little man. He looks like a little man. That's what that's the best way I can describe him. He's absolutely adorable.
So much.
He is adorable. All right. Well, this has been fun, guys. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.
For everyone listening, go get signed up for the Open if you haven't signed up, and compete. And we look forward to hearing your stories, and we will chat with you guys soon.